Welcome to the Secret Life Podcast. Tell me your secret. I'll tell you mine. The best way to support the show is to subscribe and share. If you haven't left a review or ratings on iTunes, please do. It helps more people find our show. And if you want to be on it, please shoot me a note at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Welcome to Secret Life Podcast. I'm Breanne Davis-Gant. Today I'm pulling back the curtains of all kinds of human secrets. We'll hear about what people are hiding from themselves and others. You know, those deep, dark secrets we probably want to go to our grave with? Are those lighter, funnier secrets that are just plain embarrassing? Really, the how, what, when, where, and why of it all. Today, my guest is Rick. Now, Rick, I have a question for you. Dun, dun, dun. What is your secret?
My secret. Can I preface this a little? Can I get into a little talk about why I'm doing
this? You can do. This is your moment. You do you.
Okay. All right. This is a secret I would take to my grave, except for those very, very close to me. But I think with the temperature of our planet right now, what's going on in our world, in our society, and with friends, it's got to be spoken of. And, you know, there's so much mental illness going on right now, and people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So my secret is that only about 4 months ago, I had a mental breakdown and was very, very close to committing suicide and got checked into a psych ward.
Wow. So this happened 4 months ago?
Yeah, it was about 4 months ago, four to 5 months ago.
Can you tell us what was going on in your life? I know with this pandemic, everybody is feeling these feelings that they have never felt before, but what got you to this place?
Okay, so it had nothing to do with pandemic. Last year, I got diagnosed with cancer, and it was in the midst of making a bunch of new plans for. I was moving. I had new work. It was a very exciting time. I had all this stuff going on. I was in a relationship, and my girlfriend and I were moving together to this new city and to start a new business. And I get just randomly, I have this test done, and I have cancer. And I had very aggressive prostate cancer.
That must have stopped you in your tracks. Everything just went, ah!
Oh yeah, completely. 100%. It's just like hitting a brick wall. It's like, wait a minute, what is going on? It's like, I don't have time for this. First of all, I got a lot of plans going on.
Yeah, I got a lot going on.
I don't have time for this. Ain't nobody got time for this. Cancer. What are you talking about? And
did you have any symptoms? Was it blindsided?
I was blindsided. It's something it runs in my family, and I've had 3 members of my family with prostate cancer. So it's something that I've just kept an eye on for, the last 10 years or so. And so I had a test done, just a simple blood test. And my doc said, hey, your scores are a little high, your PSA. Why don't we do a biopsy? And I said, why don't we just forget about it?
You're like, no, thank you. I'd rather not.
No, because I won't even explain what a biopsy is like of your prostate. It's just, it's horrible.
I've heard it's horrible. Horrible.
It is horrible. So I had it done, and then, okay, thank God the biopsy's done. And I was feeling very confident. I was like, I'm sure that I'm going to be fine. And then 3 days later, we're in preparations for moving, and we're packing, and people are at the house helping us out. And I get a phone call from the clinic, and I'm like, oh, this is my doctor telling me, that I'm cool. And he said, hey, normally I'd have you come into the office, but I'm just going to tell you, it's like, you've got really bad cancer. I was oh, geez. So your mortality comes into question.
Everything.
Everything I have planned. And then with prostate cancer, there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with that. It's just like, it's life-changing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the treatments, all of it, it's life-changing. So I was really, really scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a little bit of a meltdown then, but I pulled it together. And with the help of my girlfriend, we said, we're going to get through this. Let's
Right.
just do whatever we need to do. Let's get the move done. Let's get to this new city, and then let's start the process. So we did that. So we moved. And I'm thinking, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer. And all my plans for starting my new business got put on hold because now I'm a cancer patient and I'm living in a new city and I've got to get a medical team together. I've got to get in the schedule for treatment. And it was decided that I would just have surgery. They were going to forego any kind of chemo or radiation because my cancer was so far advanced,
Oh,
and they were
wow.
going to go in and just take it
Take
out.
it all out. Take all the
Yep.
cancer cells out.
All of it. Take the prostate, take all the cancer, take a bunch of lymph nodes, get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually, for a while, was very positive, and I went to a plant-based diet. I was meditating every day. I was doing positive things. I was really keeping it together, but I was a cancer patient. So work got put on hold, everything. And then in January, I had the surgery. And something happened to me on the day of that surgery that I went from all this positive energy to complete negativity and thinking that my life was over and that I'm going to die.
So when you were going to the hospital to have the surgery, is that when those thoughts
Totally.
started closing in on you?
Yep. And I had a meltdown on the way to the hospital. And, I've had a lot of surgeries in my life because I've had a lot of injuries. And, I'm used to hospitals, I'm used to surgery. I don't have any problem with it. But something about cancer
Yeah.
and removing your prostate scared the hell out of me. And it all changed right there. And I remember I'm being wheeled into the operating room, and I see my surgeon, and I say hello to him, and I just busted into tears. Like
Mm.
in the operating room, I'm just bawling. And I remember saying, I think I need a Valium. And and it was 3 seconds later I was out, you know. But it started this whole thing. Now I then had a very, very rough recovery. And
How
in
long was that
total,
recovery?
I was in bed for 9 weeks, and
Mm.
I had some complications. And I had two friends that had gone through this surgery, and I was talking to them almost on a daily basis. And they were my cancer coaches, right? And they'd been through this, and they went through it pretty easily, and they were kind of back to their lives within 3 or 4 weeks, and everything was fine. But I did not have that experience, and I was bleeding a lot. I had tons of pain. I could barely move. Um, and I was just getting more and more depressed.
Yeah, I
And I
can
was,
I can imagine after I had a baby and had the surgeries and mine had complications too. I felt that exact same way. I felt so hopeless and alone. Is that how you
yeah,
felt? Yeah, and you're like laid up and you can't do anything. You can't take care of yourself.
right. And what I wanted was for my girlfriend just to come and sit down on the bed and talk to me and just tell me that it was okay. But I guess that I was just so negative and just dark and vile that she couldn't be around me. But she was taking care of all of my needs, And at that point, I hadn't worked in months and months and months. And so she was there. She was supporting us at that point, because it also cost us so much money to move. It's just like, I needed to move and then start work right away.
Yeah.
But, I had I had I moved and then got a timeout, you know, and so she's supporting us. She's taking care of all my physical needs, but I could feel her separating from me emotionally, and I felt so alone. And she's like, "Oh my God, I just had my prostate taken out. I hope they got all the cancer. I won't know yet for a while. I'm in bed. I don't have the strength to get out of bed, and frankly, I kind of gave up. It's just like maybe I don't want to get out of
Right.
bed. And so then about 4 weeks into my recovery. I'm still in pretty bad shape. I'm still in a lot of pain. I'm downstairs watching TV. At least I can move around the house now. I'm getting some walks in. I've gone out a couple times walking the dogs. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm sitting down on the couch, and my girlfriend says that our relationship is over.
Oh, knife
And I'm like,
in heart.
and twisting, right?
Twisting, like grinding.
Yeah, let's just dig it around for a little bit. See, right? So, and I thought she was kidding. I was like, baby, that's not funny. And she said, I'm serious. And I know that a friend of mine who had been to the house and had seen me, he said, dude, you were really dark and you just kept everybody away. Because I understand that you were going through a hard time and I don't remember any of it, you know? I don't
probably because
remember
you were just in that pain and in, trying to heal. You probably weren't in reality.
No, because all these things that she said that I had said and the way I acted, I remember none of it. And it's like my brain protecting me from itself,
Right.
Because we tend to forget about really, really bad things in our lives. And that's just, that's our brain's way of protecting us.
From the trauma.
Yeah. So I don't remember any of this. And she just said, I can't be with you anymore. And, I don't know if okay, so when you have your prostate taken out, it changes things for you sexually.
Yeah.
Right. So
just like when you have a baby too, it changes.
Okay. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
And, and I consider myself a young, active guy. And now I'm lumped into this group of old men. Right.
Right.
And feeling really, really sorry for myself. And so the relationship is now over. And I flipped out. And I didn't do anything physically, but I did yell and scream. I got in my car, and I wasn't supposed to be driving, but I got in my car and I drove around, and I stayed away from the house for about 12 hours. And I told her when I was leaving, you'll never see me again. So now let me back it up a little bit. I have a diagnosis of bipolar 2. I have had bipolar depressions before where I wanted my life to just be over and stop, but I never actively thought about killing myself.
I've been there.
Okay. All right. So I've, had times where I just didn't want to be on the planet anymore.
Yeah.
And I wish I would just vaporize.
Yeah. I used to say that I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to be here anymore.
Exactly. So those thoughts I've learned to deal with, and I identify them and I check them when it happens. And I talk to my therapist about them when they do. Well, this time around, it's like, I really wanted to end my life. It's like, I just had cancer. I may never have sex again. I haven't worked in 3/4 of a year, and my relationship just ended. What do I have to live for? Nothing. So I didn't kill myself that day, but I didn't come home for about 12 hours, and she was blowing up my phone. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm scared about you. And I didn't respond. And I did show back up at the house, and I went and slept in the spare bedroom, and I didn't speak to her. And for 2 days, I didn't talk to her. And what I wanted to do was first just burn down the house. I mean, I really wanted to get the animals out and wait till she left. And then I wanted to burn down our house.
Blow it all up.
Yeah, I was in that much pain.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do. I never felt self-hatred. I don't know. And just felt so sorry for myself. And it's just like, I've been through a lot, and
yeah.
I've suffered injuries. I've suffered pain. I've suffered heartache. I've gone through divorce. I've gone through bankruptcy, all these things, but there was nothing like this experience.
It was like everything just fell at once, all on top of you, and you couldn't find your way out of it.
Got one bit. I couldn't move. I couldn't budge. And I was seeing a therapist, and it's just like, I don't want to tell him what's going on. I know what he'll do. But I went and saw him anyway. And I told him, I mean, there was a part of me that wanted to save my life.
Yeah.
You know,
there was something bigger than what you were stuck in that was carrying you to the doctor.
Totally. Because I told this guy how I felt. And he said, well, you put me in a very interesting position here. And I said, what's that? He goes, well, either I make the call or you agree to check in. And I was like, no, no, God, no, he's going to 5150 me. I can't bear that embarrassment. And I just said, all right, find the place. I'll go. And I knew I needed help. I knew I was darker than I'd ever been before. Mm-hmm. And he got on the phone. He made the arrangements. And I went home and packed a little weekender bag, and
going on a vacation.
Totally. And I drove myself to the facility and I checked in. And that in itself is one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. Being a person who has just said, I want to kill myself. And then the process of being checked into a psych ward is just absolutely humiliating. And you just watch as all of your rights get peeled away from you.
Right. But I have to tell you, while you're telling me the story, all I'm feeling right now is so much empathy and love for you taking that step, because not many people would take that step.
You might be right.
I think it's beautiful. Honestly, like when you're telling me, I am seeing you as this like glorious person that's saying, I need help.
But you know what's weird is how come that doesn't seem as attractive as to just checking out and then having people talk about you afterward. There's almost like this sick beauty in taking yourself out and having people talk about you. It's like, oh, that was so sad. That was so sad.
And we miss him. He was the best human.
Right?
The glorification of your funeral, what people will say about you. But
exactly.
I actually see that as sad. And the other thing you're describing that you did as a human, saying, I need help, and walking into those doors and signing those papers is more beautiful to me than taking your life and having a funeral with a bunch of flowers and people mourning you.
No, I agree with you. You're absolutely right, but it's just not as glamorous. You know?
Yeah, no, it's never as glamorous.
I was gonna go out in a big way. I was gonna do about 180 miles an hour on my bicycle in either the back end or the front end of an 18-wheeler. I was going out in glory, babe. And that's exactly what I was going to do. So, now I'm in a psych ward and I just told somebody that I wanted to kill myself, and there was truth in the statement.
Right. So how was that? How long were you there for?
I was in there for 5 days, and I knew on day one that I did not belong there. Because it was full on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I was a little bit different in that I was there voluntarily.
Right.
But in the first 2 or 3 days, you're not treated any differently from anyone else, until they get the caseworkers in, until the psychiatrist comes in, all these people come in to interview you and talk to you, and you say the same thing over and over and over. It was humiliating. And so let me just add one more element to the whole picture. I'm also wearing a diaper because of the surgery.
Right.
I lost control of my bladder, and I had to wear a diaper for months after that surgery. So I'm in a psych ward. I'm getting checked in, And one of the things they do is they strip you naked, and
Yeah.
they look at every scar and every mark, and and everything on your body for for liability reasons, I'm sure, because if you get hurt there, they want to say no, that scar was already there, um, and so they're telling me to get naked, and I said I can't, and they're like, no, you have to take your underwear off. It's like, I will pee all over myself if I take my diaper off. Sure enough, they made me do it, and I, I gave him the result that I told him that I would get.
Oh my
Just,
God. I know that's
yeah.
not funny, but the way you just said it
Oh,
was really funny.
well, I'm glad you could see the humor in it, because I just was like, I'm naked and I'm peeing on the floor, and I've got these two people looking at my
And you're in a
body.
psych ward and you checked
Yeah.
yourself in and everything is so bleak and
Oh,
nothing. I mean, now that you just put all that together, I understand how embarrassing, how devastating it is. And I always like to attach these kind of secrets to the seven deadly sins. So I'm going to name them for you and let me know if any of them ring true. So we have
okay.
pride, greed, lust, gluttony, envy, anger, and sloth.
Pride, lust, because I don't get to have it anymore.
Right.
Um, Anger. I was so mad. I was so mad because why did this happen to me? Why am I the guy that had to get cancer?
Yeah.
You know, why did my relationship fail? It was just, I was losing it. It's just like, I don't deserve this. I was in such a victim mode through the whole thing, and that victim mode hit that morning on the way to the hospital to have the surgery. And,
Mm.
so for the next, few months, I was a victim, and I didn't deserve this.
And were you angry at your, we like to say your God or your higher power? Were you
Of course
cursing
I
at God?
was.
Because I remember when I was at my lowest point, I was like saying, fuck you, God. Fuck you. Why
Yes.
did you make me this way? I'm like broken.
Yeah. If you want to kill me, just fucking do it. Don't
Yeah.
make me suffer. Don't make me suffer. Just get it over with, man. Here, let me help you.
Right.
Yeah, I was mad at God.
But
Um,
there's something interesting about both of us saying that because also that moment for me was the moment where I got to turn everything over. It felt like everything was stripped from me that I could then like heal.
yes. So it was probably day 3 of being in the psych ward that I realized that my girlfriend may have just done me a favor.
Mm. Oh my God, I just got chill bumps.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, because I had been so negative, so glass half empty, so dark. It's just like, maybe this is the only thing that will get my attention. It was a tough love moment.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
tough love. And,
Like
I
she
think
loved you enough to leave you.
exactly. And I've done that with people who are, active addicts. It's just like, I love you too much to watch you die. Therefore, I'm letting you go.
Mm.
And it made sense. It's like the bell rang. I got it. In that moment, I also realized that there are two people in my life that caused me great harm and damage that I never forgave. And I was holding on to my resentment and my anger against these two people, one being my dad and one being my ex-wife.
Can
And
you
it's just like,
explain why?
well, my dad was very abusive. We had a horrible relationship. My dad was never ever nice to me,
Mm.
and verbally abused me, physically beat me. Was not a good guy, and I thought that I had done the work to let him go and forgive him, and it came to me that I had not. And the other was my ex-wife, who dragged me through this horrible 2-year long divorce trial,
Hmm.
and said things about me in court that were not true, that I then had to prove that weren't true, which just cost money, and destroyed my reputation and all this stuff. And I thought I'd worked through it and let her go, but I realized I hadn't. and I was holding on to massive hatred. And now I was adding to it with this new girlfriend situation and her leaving me. It's just like, if I'm going to continue on this planet, I have to let all of that go.
Yeah, because those resentments, they are, I believe, what causes disease in our body and causes us all that pain.
Bingo. So I could have brought this cancer on myself.
I mean, who knows?
Totally could have manifested it because truthfully, I was pretty negative for several years after my divorce.
Wow.
You know, I remember my girlfriend saying to me, you know, when are you going to let your dad go? And it's just like, I have. I've dealt with it.
She's like, no, you haven't. And you're like, I have. Like
Exactly.
Raging in the corner.
I told you I dealt with it. Get over it. Yeah. So I could have brought the cancer on myself, you know? So I did 5 days on a psych ward, a lot of one-on-one sessions with the psychiatrists and the caseworkers and all that. And here's another thing. So, you know, I said earlier that I had, you know, I've been diagnosed bipolar 2 for a long, long time. A few years ago, I went through a medical protocol and got off of all the medication. And it's like, you know, I'd been on medication for so many years. I want to see if I can handle life without it. And I was doing really well. And I went maybe 2 years without medication. And I always said, if there's ever a need, I will happily get back on medication. Well, getting diagnosed with cancer was the need, but I ignored it.
And you didn't get back on the medication.
I didn't get back on medication. I didn't even think of it.
And that chemical imbalance probably just amplified.
100%. 100%. It's like my depression came back, you know, exponentially. And I should have been on medication once I got diagnosed, and I was not. So while in treatment, while in the psych ward, they got me back on medication again. And, you know, it's, and I'd never been on this one before, and it's great. And I'm still on it, and I'm doing really well. But all of that happened to get me to deal with my own bullshit, to deal with my dad, to deal with my ex-wife, and to get grateful again, because I had not been grateful in quite some time.
I know, to get grateful about those little things, you know, the smell of a flower outside, or it's sunny.
Oh, yes.
Feeling the sun on your skin. Those things are the moments when we are in the darkest place and can sometimes snap us out.
Yep. So I started taking walks. All right. So when I got out of the psych ward, I got back home, my girlfriend was gone, and she was staying with a friend. And for the next 6 weeks, she continued to stay with that friend and stay away from me. So I was there in the house, just me and the dogs, and me being forced to take care of the dogs. And it got me out and into nature again. And I started to get positive, and I started to feel gratitude. And I would listen to birds, and I was doing my meditation again. I was doing 20 minutes of meditation outside every morning. You know, I was communicating with nature again and getting grateful. And honestly, I felt some hope that she would see the change and get back together with me. So that was almost like a stimulus for doing the whole thing, or an incentive for doing it. Well, needless to say, it didn't go that way.
It normally never does.
Yeah, but at least I was holding on to that, and I wasn't doing it for the reason of getting her back, but it was a hope that I had. You know, I was staying in hope, and things changed for me. You know, I did spend a total of 9 weeks in bed. I finally got feeling better, and I was taking a couple of 2-mile walks a day and feeling really good. And, you know, this horrible thing that happened to me with the cancer, the breakup, the COVID, the psych ward, I have found a wonderful experience in all of that. So I guess that's why I'm sharing it. You know, the darkest time of my life turned me around and put me on one of the best paths I've ever been on.
Wow. Well, my last question for you is if anyone is going through a dark time, do you have any words of wisdom or how they can move forward?
I would say share it.
Mm.
Don't keep it in. You've got to tell somebody. If you really want to have help, if you want to get help, don't wait for people to help you. Ask them for the help. Don't keep secrets. I guess that's what's so cool about your podcast is that, we're letting the secrets out and we all have them.
All of
And we all
us.
we all share these things that we think nobody's going to understand,
Yeah.
but we have the secrets. And so especially when it comes to mental health, talk about it.
Talk about it. It takes away, the alone, the pressure, everything. It
Mm.
just like releases it where you don't hold it anymore.
Yeah. You find the other people that share the same diagnoses, you know, and, there's a fellowship there. And it's like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And there is help.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your secret with us.
I think I'm happy about it.
You'll let me know later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you want to be on the show, please email me at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Until next time. Thank you again for listening to Secret Life Podcast. Please subscribe, share, send me a note, and you can always support the show with a donation on our site, secretlifepodcast.com. Until next time, bye.